Sorry if I'm looking very bedraggled. I just woke up from a nap. It was a really nice nap, but my upstairs neighbours decided to sing "She Will Be Loved" really loudly. She will be loved. No, I was having a nap. So, first of all, not done a Disney vlog in a while because I haven't done anything since Paris. Well, I have, but we'll get to that later. So this is a new setting because I moved with Merida. But that's not the point of this vlog, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to tell you about my room. They're singing again. Awful. Anyway, so I applied for the international college program again. And if you've watched my previous vlogs, you know that I did that once before. Didn't go too hot. I applied last year, I got through to the final interview, and then I got put on a waiting list, which was not an enjoyable experience for me at all. And then I found out in February I hadn't got in, so that was annoying because I waited through from August through to February to find that out. But anyway, I reapplied this year, and I was a bit confused because it was all a bit different this year. They didn't have phone interviews, which I was quite sad about because I quite liked my phone interview. I think it was quite easy, relaxing, but instead I had to go through to Edinburgh to go to a group interview where they asked, like, as they spoke to you as a group. They went through the presentation, which is the same old. It's not going to tell you about it. If you go, you'll go. It's just explaining the program. And they took you up in groups of about 15 maybe. And they asked you, it was just like, they kind of wanted to see how you acted in a group, whether you interrupted people, God, I keep covering the speaker, whether you like interrupted people, you had to be wary of what you were saying when. I think it's quite important in that you have to make sure you're not interrupting people, and if you do interrupt people, make sure you go, "Oh, I'm sorry, after you." Very American, but you know. They asked like what role you think you would be suited for, what you wanted to do. They asked you what Disney character represented you. Jane, because she's awesome, and a ditzy bugger like me. And then, bloody no, I can't remember. It was just lots of kind of standard interview questions, but obviously you had to take into consideration that everyone was answering them, and people would probably say the same things. Like they like put forward the scenario of if you were going to work in It's a Small World, and the child had waited in the line and he couldn't get in, what would you do? And like we were all saying, like, you know, you would try and get them to the front of another line, you would try and get a character over, yada yada. So anyway, that was awful. I hated it. I was absolutely convinced I wasn't going to get through because I didn't think I stood out at all. But I did, so that's good. So then on to the next interview, which was also different because last year I had to go to Aberdeen, which is about 3 hours away from me. I live in Glasgow. So it was a pain, but you know, it was okay. I knew I had friends in Aberdeen I could stay with, and travel was fairly cheap, so it was okay. But this year they sent me to London, which was expensive. London it's like about 5-6 hours on a train, but the trains are £100 if you're lucky. So it was not fun. And then I had to get a hotel. Like, to be fair, I had friends I could stay with, but I stayed in a hotel because I wanted to be near where the interview was. So my interview, the day before me, they had it at the Disney HQ in Hammersmith, which is where I had my Paris interview, but we had it in Brasserie Blanc, which is like Raymond Blanc's restaurant, I do believe, which was a bit of a strange place for an interview and very different to what I'd had before, having gone through 2 Disney interviews before. But it was interesting. They took us through a presentation again, which is very similar to the one we'd had at the pre-screens. I'm just checking it's still recording. I'm probably out of focus, so I haven't had time to check. And I'm holding like a 5D up with one hand, so sorry if it's all like shit hurts you. Anyway, so it was the presentation again, except done by the Americans this time. There were 3 Americans who had come over to talk to us about it, whereas before in Edinburgh it had been the Yummy Jobs group who were there at the London interviews, but so were the Americans. So they did the presentation, then they split us into 3 groups. The other thing that was very different this year was that it was single interviews rather than like last year I interviewed with another person, which is also what happened with my Paris interview. And so much better having a single interview. You just didn't feel like you were fighting against someone, and it wasn't so like scary. It was much better. It was so much more relaxed. You didn't have to impress above the other person. It was easier. The interview itself was pretty much the same as it was in the last video. I'll post the link underneath. It was your standard interview questions. They asked me what role I wanted to do. She went through the roles and said, what would you want to do? Like she said, how would you feel about custodial? People aren't sure about it. And I was like, I'd quite like to do custodial. We'll get to that later. And then like she asked how my family felt about it, which is hilarious because they were all over that. They were loving it. They were very much supporting me. Trying to think what else they asked. How would we deal with the heat? I'm not gonna lie, I'll probably struggle in the heat. Because I'm a delicate Scottish flower. I'm gonna have to wear a lot of sunscreen, you call it in America, I do believe. Anyway, that was disgusting. Yeah, she was very friendly. If it's that we were like, it's very American, very Disney, very friendly. So part of me was like, I don't know if I've impressed her. Like my friend Gio, who came with me to Paris, he was saying that he also went for it, and he said that the day before, he didn't know whether it went well because he couldn't tell because they were so American and so happy, and I was like, oh no, it's fine. And then I went into my interview, I was like, oh no, yes, I very much see what you mean. But the lady I got was really lovely. No other important information regarding that, but then they said that we would find out by 9th of November. On the 3rd of November we all got emails. I was just casually chilling in work thinking, oh, it's fine, I'll just have a break, scroll through my emails, and then I just accidentally clicked on this one from Yummy Jobs without even taking note of what it was, only to realise at the worst possible time that I got put on what was called an opportunity list. Now, having gone through the waiting list before, this was pretty much the worst news I could have heard. I think I would have rather been told straight out no. I would have back then. But I had no idea what an opportunity list was, because last year it was, we'll call you if we want you kind of thing. But opportunity list, apparently not what I thought, not necessarily a waiting list. An opportunity list is a kind of American thing where they need to figure out what they're going to need, like what they're going to need in terms of staff. So basically Disney have already said yes to you, but they just don't know whether they're going to need enough people. So I read this on a blog and I was like, okay, fair enough. But that was for the cultural representation program, which was a year-long program. So I was like, oh, it might be a bit different. Cue me being very upset, and I went away on holiday for a couple of days to relax to the Isle of Arran, which is not too hot in terms of signal for your phone. So absolutely cracked myself when I saw that I had a missed call from Yummy Jobs, and did a marathon round Arran trying to get signal basically. Phoned her in this tiny cafe in the middle of nowhere, and then burst into tears because she told me that I was getting offered a custodial position in Disney World next summer. So, Americans, I guess I'll see you there, eh? I'm literally not joking, by the way. You've no idea how much I was crying over the phone. The woman Louise was like, oh, are you okay? I was like, no, I have no idea how long I've waited for this. I've applied 4 years. And she just seemed scared. And then like, after she was like, I wanted to tell you, I'd sent an email saying, what does the opportunity list entail? And she sent me an email back just being like, the opportunity list is this. If we want you, we'll call you, kind of thing. And then she said on the phone, I really wanted to tell you that you pretty much got the job, but I wasn't allowed. I was like, Louise, absolute lad. Love her. So, Disney World, motherfucker! I'm so excited for Custodio, by the way. Custodio gets a bad rep. Custodio is going to be awesome. I'm so excited for it. Just got a degree to get through, a dissertation. Yay!